Welcome to Ticker Talk, Kate and Max. Not in the Ticker studio, but at Ticker HQ.
Welcome, everybody. We thought we'd try something a little different today.
Live on the floor.
Live on the floor. Not actually live. This is being recorded.
Oh.
But that's okay.
We're on the floor just the same.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to just kind of share a little bit about what it's like to be an individual design client, what it's like to coach that, and maybe just use one of your clients, Rob, as an example, and just show some of his programming, and maybe just get some insight from you on how and why you're doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And then show a little bit about what it might look like when you are a client of ours, and the resources that we use as far as True Coach,
right?
A little bit of heart rate data information, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So
let me tell you, why don't you bring up Self Loops? A little bit of background about Rob. So Rob contacted us and said that he had been, I guess sedentary is the easiest word to say. He had not been actively working out in any fashion for a couple years. Busy guy, building a career, raising his family, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And got to a point where his suits were getting kind of tight, and he realized, this is the body that I have forever, and I'm not doing a very good job of taking care of it. Or, like, as I age, I'm finding that, I'm not, it's not as easy as it used to be to move around and do what I want.
I remember when he first came and kind of sat down with us and started to learn about our philosophy and what we were doing and how we would train him. I remember him saying, like, that was one of his major reasons that he'd given us a call and wanted to see what was going on here. And,
on a related note, that's how he came into, and then bringing the person that is Rob into this as well. He said a couple weekends ago, he's doing some landscaping, and he's like, they dropped all these boulders off a little too close to my neighbor's yard. So we spent the entire weekend, moving these rocks around and this mulch and building this berm. And I didn't point it out at the time, and I didn't really think about it till right now that, he's been with us since September. And he was able just to spend his entire weekend. And he comes in 6 days a week, do his training and go home and do all that yard work and, come in the next day and feel like, I accomplished something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is new.
Yeah, it's the same. It just looks a little different.
Got it.
I just wanted to bring up some of Rob's heart rate data because that is a very
Got it. We can get to that, right?
Vital aspect of how we train.
Got it. Okay, so Rob kind of comes in. He's looking just for overall general health, fitness, get stronger, a little leaner, lose a little bit of excess fat that he wants to lose. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Main goal though seems to be to just get stronger and
overall
be more capable.
Health, general fitness.
He's got a little bit of a shoulder thing.
Which we didn't really know about, nor did he connect until we started doing our assessment series.
Got it. That's cool. Did we see it or find it on the Kinescence?
I'm sure we did.
That's not where you were.
It's not where it came into play the most.
Yeah, because it doesn't really cause him pain.
No, it's one of those things where...
Well, because it's one shoulder is just much more developed than the other from, taking care of his daughter, right? So, okay. So... comes in looking for general health, wants to get stronger. We go through our assessment process, and I'm just going to kind of pull up the screen here, Kate. Mm-hmm. And this is in our the way we communicate. This is the way we program for Rob, and this is just an application called True Coach where we can, communicate with messaging and all of that kind of thing.
So if you go back a month to September.
Okay.
And we go to that assessment series. This is very, very relevant into Rob's programming. So he came in looking for general health, fitness, wellness, which seems like, that would be easy to figure out how to program for.
Sure.
What do you like? What do you don't like? Well, in the assessment series, we noticed that he had one shoulder that was more developed than the other. His trap was a little bit bigger on one side. And trying to coach him into certain positions as part of the assessment series, we noticed that he had a lot of mobility issues that were going to limit that.
Got it.
And strength issues side to side.
Sure. Well, I remember working with him on one of his first days of just trying to see where he was at on things, and we overdid it a little bit.
Absolutely.
Right?
On a ring row, something that seems very benign and innocent, but being able to activate those muscles, the ones that, his shoulder had been compensating for.
Yeah.
suddenly we saw something and we needed to address it.
Yeah, and all of that gave us some guidance that we knew that we needed to just back off a little bit on how much assessing we were doing until we kind of got him ready to be able to do some more stuff, right? So
that's the individual nature of an individual design program. So figuring out that, okay, he needs some shoulder stability work. He needs some left to right side balance work, between his shoulders and his upper body, while still giving him that metabolic conditioning that he also craved to reach those health and wellness goals.
Well, he needed some metabolic conditioning just to be able to sustain the amount of work that he needed to do to get healthy and strong.
Absolutely.
Right? So I'm just going to pull this back up again here, Kate, and then, just talk a little bit about his first day here. We go through with a body scan and a Pinoe test and all that kind of stuff.
Movement screen, all that kind of stuff. Scored the essential movements, the squat, the press. I don't think there's...
No, that's okay. Just
the data is stored somewhere else on these. And then if you look through the next couple weeks, we go through more involved assessments as we learn more about Rob. And you'll notice, those viewers that are looking at the specific assessments we do, and if you keep scrolling, we'll see we did a relative 1 rep max, then we do 3 rep max, then we have tempo 10 as we learn more and more and more about endurance of the muscles.
Sure. We have a whole bunch of assessment series, and we kind of this is something that I like to show people here is we have a left-right muscle imbalance, so we want to be able to see is the left and the right, is there discrepancies? Mm-hmm. And then this is our ticker assessments, and this is all the different things that we want to. If somebody's looking for overall general health and wellness, we need to have some scores in all of these. And then from here, we can create a training plan to improve all of them, right? So,
and we'll notice with Rob's, they're not all filled in because they weren't all relative to his goal.
Yeah, got it.
When I was entering this data last night, there's a few of them that have 2 metrics where we've retested. For instance, on the very top, on the left to right side imbalance, since that was the triaged... by me, goal was to make sure that his left and right side was balanced before we went on building.
Sure, because that can lead to all sorts of dysfunctions and potentially opening up for injury if he's, doing everything with his left arm and not using his right arm because of weakness, then or because of mobility or lack of stability, strength, range of motion, whatever, right?
So there are 2. I don't know what those are. 2, and they're entered in twice.
Got it.
We tested in September, and we just recently tested last week. And I don't know if you can click that. Current will show up first, what it shows. The interesting thing about this is it shows he actually, that ramp goes down. But looking at the history... Oh, yeah,
he used more weight the
We
second
used
time.
more weight, and he actually tested it at the same weight, too, and got something like 30 reps.
Got it.
I decided that for me, because...
this would go on forever, right, at 15 pounds from where he started.
Oh, yeah, I think he got 30 reps or something.
So he's made some phenomenal, changes in strength, right?
Yeah, he doubled the reps at the previous weight.
Right.
But he doubled the weight and kept the reps about the same at the current, which is huge.
Even as, rear foot elevated split squat, he got another rep.
Yeah.
Saying on his left foot, he got 4 more reps.
Right.
The second time, so...
and on him, it's his left side.
He's got a half a rep for his pistol.
He got a half.
That's all right. He's working on it. That's awesome. Why do we have that stuff in there? Well, that's pretty fun for him to be able to know. I couldn't do it when I started, and he will get there. If he's doing 15 reps with this rear foot elevated lunge step, he'll be there in no time. It's certainly something that he has an opportunity. The other thing that you can utilize with this is you can set a target for him. So if he's currently at 15, what's our next goal? Probably 20.
Right.
So then you can assess him again in a few weeks and see where he's at.
Or heavier weight again.
Yeah.
We've got him on whatever weight that is.
Right.
30-pound dumbbell.
So can I talk a little bit about, when I program for my athletes, Kate, I keep this thing open here. Mm-hmm. So I remember what I need to work on, and sometimes I want to make sure that I have this first thing open here to make sure I get some metabolic conditioning in so I can see what it is. But as I sit down here and I start going on and adding workouts and training, I'm like, okay, well, where is he at on this?
Right.
And then I can guide him and give him, if he has a max back squat of, 200 pounds,
right?
I know I can set up a 5x7 at a tempo of 3-2-1-1, with a goal of around, maybe 115 to 120 pounds.
Right.
Something that should he gives him some guidance, so he's not coming in a little bit blind, and we just say, build to a heavy squat.
Right.
That's a pretty hard thing as a new athlete to be able to even comprehend and understand what that means. So anyway, this is a very valuable tool that we utilize all the time for
True Coach in general as a progressive program. So coming through and looking at his training, if you look at what happened through September, and you'll notice he travels a lot for work. So if you scroll down, like once we get through the assessments, there's a whole bunch of travel wads, like hotel, things he can still do. So someone who travels a whole bunch and ends up in, I love that he takes video of it for me, and he goes down to the gym, takes video. What equipment do you have? You have this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Here's what you have to work with. And he can still wear his heart rate monitor, so I can still monitor how, if the stimulus of the workouts that I'm writing are enough.
Right.
So we have constant back and forth conversations about his training while he is away. And you'll notice if you keep scrolling, there's a lot of travel here.
Yeah.
And we're not doing just like go run on the elliptical and do some burpees. I mean, we found ways to get through and get some thrusters in and some strength work.
Yeah. So let's just maybe, you got a progressive maybe like 1 week to the next, Kate, where you could kind of show like him, if you've got him deadlifting 5x5 here and he builds, do you have a week or two maybe that you could show or talk about with, or even just share some of his examples?
Possibly.
I set you up on that one. That's all right.
Well, we noticed that when I was teaching him, we were doing some strength building with dumbbells in one of his hotel wads. And he, weird guy, really likes thrusters. He liked the whole body aspect of moving weight.
Hard, difficult.
As a guy that hasn't trained in a gym in a long time, it felt really good to not only squat but press weight.
Got it.
So me knowing that, like, okay, I remember from his assessment that he has a really hard time with mobility getting into that front rack position. So I probably put in some barbell thruster skill work when he came home. Let's assess and figure out where he is with a barbell.
Cool.
And I think I even wrote in there, like, yep, you're going with a bare barbell and you're going to a box. Because I have to make sure that.
Got it. Why do you have him go to the box?
Just to see what I can do with his hips back and arms up.
Got it. So it helps teach him the correct
movement
position.
pattern.
Yeah, awesome.
Right. And then my guess is the next week I had dumbbell front squats in that week on Tuesday. And then on the next week I have actual front squats. And I probably said super light, looking at form. So I wanted to assess before we got into a point where we're adding a bunch of weight, where we are there. And this is all because, the guy liked this movement and wanted to learn it.
Right. He got looks like you've got him at 95 pounds already for, a new athlete, a new person front squatting that has not really handled the barbell much.
Right. And then thinking about stuff like, and you can see I have other assessments in there, pressing, different planes of motion pressing, bench press, shoulder press, all that kind of thing. Although with a thruster, it is a unique movement. You're still going to pass through a whole lot of those other ranges of motion.
So I'm just looking through here, Kate, and I noticed that, Rob likes to move. Mm-hmm. He loves
to come in and work.
He likes to be in the gym, right? So let's just talk a little bit about, somebody's going to look at this and go, oh, I can't do that, or that's not for me, or
absolutely,
that's too much training. Can we just talk maybe a little bit about why he's set up for, 6 or 7 days?
Right.
And with our ticker methodology, why he's able to handle that?
Absolutely. So I just saw it in there in September. So we did a Pinoy test right in the beginning to figure out his efficiency and his metabolic
heart rate
zones, where I want him training, where he is utilizing the most oxygen, utilizing the most fat, so it's the most sustainable effort.
Got it.
Then he's a guy that's like, I'm ready to get into it. I don't do anything half-assed. I'm ready to go. I want to be here 7 days.
Got it.
If you start looking down a little bit on Sundays, you'll notice we have a lot of active recovery and a lot of the somewhere down there on the day that he comes, a week that he comes, the whole entire week. Staying in those heart rate zones and frequently reassessing with the Pinoy, we find that it's in here right up. He did one right away. So right there. So we made sure within a month that we retested to make sure those zones were accurate.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Well, because he's going to have some major adaptations after essentially coming from a sedentary lifestyle to
absolutely
coming in here and moving
and
7 days a week.
And we're also, I'm listening to him. We have open conversation of like, how do you feel? Are you sore? Like he complained a lot about hamstring soreness. So there's a whole bunch of days where, although this looks like a huge amount of volume, it's a lot of stretching. take your time out to do that. Active recovery is a lot of, stretching with easy walking and movement to make sure that he's still moving his muscles and working that lactic acid out.
Right.
And then coming back in to work on what he wants to work on.
So Rob's had already some pretty major wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so his left and right stuff, like just going from using a 15-pound dumbbell for 12 reps to using a 30-pound dumbbell for 9 reps or whatever he did is a phenomenal change, right? And I remember when he was reassessing, I walked in and he's like, "Where's Kate? I got to tell her about this,"
Yeah.
So he was pretty excited about that.
Yeah. We have Fit 3D data too. We don't have it on screen, where one of his goals was to lose some weight,
right,
and to gain some muscle,
right. Which he's had some pretty major.
He's had some major gains.
He passes the eye test on that one, right?
Absolutely. You start to notice those things, and I just saw when we were scrolling that I said do another scan, and you can look at the data where it's not overly dramatic. It's not that sexy where it's like get fit in 30 days kind of thing.
Right.
It's an unbelievably steady decline in body fat percentage.
Right. And an increase in
muscle mass.
Right.
One of the things that we noticed, and we did a scan, and he was putting on a whole lot of muscle but not losing a lot of fat.
Sure.
So we started a conversation of how we can change his conditioning a little bit.
Right.
He loves moving weight, but maybe we also need to make sure we're still getting some of those long aerobic efforts.
But we also talked a little bit about food and other things that affect body fat, right?
Lifestyle, stress, sleep, travel.
Right.
So
beer. Yeah. So all of those things.
And this is all unique to Rob. It's
correct.
his individual program
Absolutely.
based on his goals, and we're constantly assessing and talking and listening, noticing things.
And how much fun is this for you, Kate?
Oh, it's amazing.
Right. Like you've gotten to know Rob. You've only known Rob for, is it 2 months yet?
Yeah.
And you know him pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have, I look at his comments in here and things like that, and it's,
we have text threads and we have comment threads on here.
Right.
I mean, I think of the night that he had finished his training for the day and you were coaching, and you sent me a video at the same time he sent a text.
Yeah.
Where you're like, he had time to play. So you taught him the start of how to power clean.
Right. And that's one of the coolest thing too, is like I get to be involved as well in their growth, and in this open gym environment with a coach. It's like I'm just here during those hours to support your clients, which is super fun to me, because I'm like, what's Kate got you doing today? And usually they say you're being mean, or you're
usually
me. It's something like that. She was really angry with me when she was programming or something, and it's super fun to watch people attack this stuff. And when they ask me, well, what do you think she wanted? And I don't know who I helped the other day, but it was a really fun thing to see, and for me to figure out what's she trying to do here.
Right.
And then as I looked at the program, like, oh, I get it. Okay, yeah, this is what she wants from this. And
well, like Rob likes thrusters. How are you going to get the barbell up off the ground? Oh, you're going to clean it. So to teach him that start of that movement, but then for me to be able to put in some more high-skilled work.
Right, that he started to ask for because he sees other people in the gym doing it.
Yeah.
And he's like...
But then knowing he has a coach to teach him that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He can also come in and do the work on, as he sees fit through his...
Yeah. So what are some of the next steps for Rob? Like, where's he going? What's his next assessment, or what's his next progression? I know, like, he wants to see a little bit more cleaning and snatching in his programming.
Absolutely. More complex weight movements. But I think we need to go back in. I noticed in his metrics, we haven't retested any of those, raw strength numbers.
Yeah, it's about time maybe again.
Look at form, make sure that he's ready, that he's earned the right to be able to move dynamically when I've only had him moving in a static plane.
Sure. Well, that's kind of the natural progression for somebody that was just kind of coming off the couch, right?
Absolutely.
Like, we've got to get them stable. We've got to get them body aware. We've got to get them balanced. They have to be aware. Now, Rob's, had some athleticism in his background, right?
Absolutely. So, just because he's been on the couch doesn't mean that he wasn't an athlete before.
And of course, we can assess of where he's at as far as in his strength and his conditioning and his body awareness. Like, if he was a complete disaster in his front squat or his press, or if it caused him pain, we're not going to start, cleaning and jerking, which is one of the benefits of this individual design. And we can assess and see, like, he might be asking for something, and if he was not ready, you can, as just coach, go, we're just not there yet.
But let's design these things to make it so we are.
Let's try to get there if that's one of your goals.
Right.
We'll create a plan, based on where you're at now to get there. So
and have fun while we're doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
if I look at this and the more I learn about what Rob likes, and then I keep in mind Rob's goals, and then I can do things like develop workouts that are super fun, movements that he enjoys, in a way that challenges him, but also like is goofy and,
Totally.
makes him laugh.
Right.
Because he is putting in a lot of work.
He is. And it's funny, as I just kind of like scroll through this, I can see, that they start with, lunge steps, front squats, presses.
Yep.
And, then they start to turn into, more kettlebell swings and, more challenging, mat sessions and things like that. I see you've got for the upper body love too, right?
Yep.
The all arm
day.
Arm day.
But it was after heavy leg day.
Yeah, fun.
Now, the other thing that I want to point out is, like, I know that he wants that, but you'll notice that we've got a bunch of running and conditioning. And sometimes it's written in as your warm-up.
Yeah.
That's that metabolic conditioning that's going to develop his aerobic base.
Yeah, and he has very specific heart rates that he knows to train to. He's already been tested twice, maybe time again. Like I had a session with him the other day. He was on the rower, and he's like, "Man, I can't even get my heart rate up."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, either you're fatigued."
He was fatigued.
Yeah, and you're just tired, and
Yeah.
you don't have the muscle endurance to be able to work that hard, or you've had some major adaptions.
His Pinoy data was actually really interesting and not atypical of a new athlete starting out. His initial Pinoy was a phenomenal picture of someone who was pretty fat adapted.
But his heart rate elevated fast.
His heart rate, and without knowing anything else, we gave him those zones to work in. And I remember the day when he was like, I just can't get my heart rate up. You're having me work really hard. So I would do things like hang out with him while he was doing his conditioning work, talk to him. It's boring sitting on a rower. But
Right.
noticing that at that heart rate that we previously decided was his zone, he was breathing and working really hard.
Yeah.
So we did another test and found his zones had changed significantly in the opposite way of what we had expected.
Right. So that one-on-one experience, just because of the environment that we have, you're able to notice very, very quickly, like, whoa.
Yeah.
We need to assess again. We need
And we
to see
didn't have
what's
to
going
wait
on.
to do it. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
was like,
tomorrow we're assessing. Right now we're going to figure out these
that's
new
cool.
zones.
Right, and then you, as his coach, could go in and adjust things.
And then knowing, like, okay, so you were working at 140 beats. Now you have to work at 120 beats. It
Right.
seems like it's going to be a big change, but I was able to work in.
Power output wasn't that much different.
It was no different. He didn't
Cool.
have to work that hard to get there, but I also could layer in some more metabolic conditioning that would be easier to sustain at a lower heart rate, so we can manipulate those zones again.
Right. So you adjusted his training to be able to help him be successful, right?
Right.
Cool. All right, Kate. I think we've harped on Rob enough.
I
so
know. Has he wandered by in the background?
I don't know. Maybe he's back there somewhere. That's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to get him on to share some of his experiences next.
Absolutely.
If anybody's interested in learning more about this, please reach out to us at tickertrained at gmail.com. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay. You could also, DM us on Instagram at tickertraining.
Contact us through the website.
Yeah, you can look up Ticker Kate as well on Instagram or Facebook page. Anything, we can get back with you.
Yep.
If you enjoyed hearing about somebody's training and what it's like, please let us know. We're going to maybe highlight some other athletes to share what it's like to go through this process with us, to be able to share that, to just give people some insight of what it's like to be here. And
yeah, we understand not everyone is Rob. So
yeah, and it's, we just want to be able to try to share the difference here in an individual design program compared to, the latest trends. And most of the trends out there right now, everybody wants group fitness.
Right.
And that's fine. But when you start to experience the difference of a program that is designed specifically for you, for your goals, and you see the results,
yep.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Right. Both for the coach and the client. So.
Absolutely.
All right, Kate. Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
Thanks, Rob.
Till next time.
All right. See you.